Welcome to the Shipwreck Podcast, everybody. Once again, I'm your host, Bobby Ship, and we got an exciting show today. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world of P. Diddy, otherwise known as the Diddler, Puff Daddy, however you call him. Man, the trial started, testimony started. They was doing the jury selection all of last week, and this week they started some testimony. Three witnesses have taken a stand so far. Also, we want to talk about Roy Hinton. That is the father who son was killed by police last couple of weeks ago, and he went and ran down allegedly. All this is alleged, obviously. Allegedly ran down a police officer, a separate police officer, and killed him. Allegedly, unalived him. Uh, so anyway, those are the things we're going to talk about today. I look forward to having everybody here. Welcome again, my shipmates. Having my shipmates come on and let's talk about it. But as we start with the Diddy thing, I wanted to actually break down as best as I could in my layman's terms of what the charges actually are to try to see where the case is today. This is not a case to this episode here. Please don't have your kids around because we're going to be talking in very adult terms. A lot of um, adult things happen. I'm giving you a chance to tell your kids to go on and watch some cartoons or something. A lot of adult things happen this during the trial, and or has been said during the trial, I should say, and we're going to dive into all of that stuff because it's really compelling to see when does it change from a when does it change from being consensual to coercion, and that's really what it boils down to. So with that being said, I'm gonna go into think I see I've got some guests coming in here. Just give me a second guess. I'm gonna bring you on. I just want to first go into what the charges are and then go from there. So these are the federal charges brought against Diddy. He's facing three charges of racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Again, before I start and continue this on, let me say it again. Please, if you're not watching on YouTube, please go to the YouTube channel. I think I put it into the Facebook already. I will be migrating all the way over to the YouTube. So I have put it in there already. If you want to join, I also put the link in there as well. I have pinned the link to join the conversation on YouTube already. So if you want to join, you can join it that way, please. Again, if you're watching, like and subscribe. Trying to get the viewership up, trying to get some more shipmates to come on board and join the shipwreck with us. So let me continue on. So again, the overview of the charges. He's got racketeering, he's got sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. That's the most important part about that is force, fraud, or coercion, and also transportation to engage in prostitution. Definition of racketeering. The definition of racketeering is an agreement to participate in a criminal enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activities. Those activities, the elements of the crime. So these are the things that you have to meet each and every one of these elements to be able to convict someone of the crime of racketeering in this case. So when we start talking about what's been said so far, you have to think about these elements because those are the things that are important. So for racketeering, you have an existence of an enterprise affecting interstate commerce. So, for instance, having a company, having a record label, even or having what you would think of when you think of racketeering, having a mafia family or a drug enterprise or anything like that. You need an agreement to conduct or participate in an enterprise affair. So you have to know that you're participating in an enterprise, and you also need knowledge of the enterprise criminal objectives. So you need to know that hey, I'm doing these things and breaking crimes as I do it. All right, sex trafficking. Definition is engaging a person in commercial sex acts through force, fraud, or coercion. Again, that's the most important part there: force, fraud, or coercion. And elements to convict is knowingly engaged in prohibited conduct, i.e., recruitment or transportation, use of force, fraud, or coercion for commercial sex acts, and knew or recklessly disregarded that force or disregarded the force, fraud, or coercion would be used, or if the person is under 18. If the person is under 18, you do not need any force, fraud, or coercion. You just need to just that they're under 18 is enough for it to be sex trafficking. And transportation is the last one is transportation of for prostitution, and the definition is transportating an individual across state lines with the intent to engage in prostitution. Elements of elements to convict: knowingly transported an individual in interstate or foreign commerce, and intend that the individual engage in prostitution or sexual activity. All right. With that being said, we do have another video. Before we get started, I'm going to add some of the guests in because they are patiently waiting. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to the shipwreck to the podcast. Welcome, Ronnie. How we doing today?
What's good? What's good?
Nothing.
Good, good,
All
good,
right.
good. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you well. I can hear you well.
Good.
Loud and
No,
clear.
no.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Thank you, bro.
AC, Anthony, how you doing today?
I'm in the
All
house,
right,
baby.
you're here. Welcome to the couch once again. And I do have a quick video. Actually, before we go into the video, we go about to talk about day one and day two. So day one was of testimony was opening arguments, and on day one, you had the prosecution basically saying that they're going to break down the case and show all the elements of the crimes that I just showed earlier. And they had also and the defense's opening arguments was this was all consensual. Everything was absolutely consensual. And the arguments and the fights that we did see, the video that we see was they always fought, and they always had these arguments and fights. She was jealous, he was jealous, and the arguments wasn't based on making
Where's
her
my water?
do any freak offs or anything like that. So that was pretty much the synopsis of their opening arguments. The three witnesses, the first one was the former hotel security guard. He testified first. He was the first one in the incident for the videotape that happened in 2016. And his observations was he witnessed Sean or Puffy physically assaulting Cassie, as well as he got the surveillance footage presented in the courtroom showed that Combs that Sean dragged her by the head and stuff like that. He also said that Puffy tried to bribe him to put it on a hush hush, and Puffy also tried to interfere with other security guards trying to take their phones from the situation. He also testified that and this is where the cross-examination on the testify. He also testified that he walked her back to the room. She said she wanted to leave, so he helped her to leave. But when she walked back to the room, there was another male there, and she testified later on. I was going to her, but the reason why that's important is because she testified that the male that came in, the male that was in the room, they were in the middle of a freak off, and she didn't want to do the freak off anymore, so she bounced and tried to leave, and that's when he beat her up and brought her back. So the man the security guard testified today or a couple of days ago that there was another male figure there allegedly. All this alleged, of course, but the defense was able to break down that he didn't put any of that in his notes. He didn't put any in his notes that she asked to leave, or cops should have been called or anything like that, or that there was a man there. So he's actually a police officer now, so they were able to poke some holes in there saying, well, you're saying this now, but you weren't saying this and put this in your report for the hotel report. So that was pretty much the synopsis of that one. The second witness was the male escort. This male escort was from 2012. He began a relationship with her in 2012. He said that they started. He's been with Cassie and Sean a bunch of times. Well, just with Cassie, but Sean was there. Puffy was there. He was paid anywhere from $700 to $6,000 per session. Directed acts. He said that he was directed by Puffy to, again, hide your kids. This is not the kids episode. And anybody, if you are triggered by any of these things that we're talking about, I would suggest that you as well leave this episode. Just for a warning. Again, all these things are alleged. He was directed to put baby on Cassie, put baby boy on each other, as well as he was directed to urinate on Cassie. And Puffy liked that. As far as drugs, he testified as well that Puffy gave him drugs, Molly and Cialis, to get through the sessions. And he also he said he has witnessed Puffy abuse Cassie. And because when he seen it one day, he was in a room when Puffy started to beat her up, that he couldn't be able to perform sexually with Cassie because he just watched the way he beat up Cassie. That way Sean beat up Cassie. Also, the defense in that said, came back to him and said that because I guess he sounded like he had affection for Cassie, and said as well that he was, that he was shocked to be able to have sex with somebody that pretty. He was the prettiest woman that he's ever seen in the world, and so he had admiration. And I'm not sure if he said he loved her as well, but I know he definitely had admiration for her and stuff like that as well. So that was him. Then third and last, who's still on the stand right now, is Cassie. Hold on one second. So Cassie is the one that's on the stand right now, and she has testified that the relationship started back in 2005. She was 19, he was 38, 39, something like that. Or no, yes, 35, 38, something like that, in his mid to late 30s. The first freak off happened 6 months after they started dating. She was in love. She was actually cheating on her boyfriend at the time when they started, which was Ryan Leslie. When she started dating him, they started dating in 2021. I'm sorry, when she was 21. Actually, I have some video. For Cassie, I actually have a video for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that video, and then we're gonna get into letting the guests.
Day 2 of testimony here at the Sean Combs trial in Lower Manhattan has wrapped for the day. It was a difficult day for everybody in the courtroom. Sean Combs' family. Cassie Ventura was on the stand most of the day. Her husband, Alex Fine, was sitting in the courtroom. Most of the time while Cassie was on the stand today, she talked about those so-called freak-offs. She went into very detailed descriptions. She said at first she did it. She loved Sean Combs. She wanted to make him happy. And she did it under his suggestion, have sex with male escorts and dancers while he watched. She did it, she said they became more and more routine weekly, and that they went on for years, as little as 36 hours, some of them up to 4 days. She went into describing what it was like, and that, again, she was doing all this because she loved Sean Combs. She said as sad as the case was, she did it because at least it gave her one-on-one time with him, that there were so many people all around in their lives. She also talked about that now infamous video from that LA hotel from 2016. She said she was trying to leave a freak off, that somehow Combs gave her a black eye. She was leaving, and that's when we see what happened unfolded in the hallway. She will be back on the stand tomorrow. She's in her 3rd trimester, expecting her 3rd child. She was soft-spoken, almost in a sad way, very matter-of-fact, explaining these very intimate details about her past relationship with Combs. He sat in the courtroom at times. He shook his head no, looked at her. She didn't make eye contact with him when she came into the courtroom or when she exited the courtroom. We will be back here tomorrow. We expect her to be back on the stand, some more testimony. The cross will be by the defense will be intense, no doubt. They have tried to paint this as an adult relationship that may have been complicated, that there was domestic violence, but that it does not meet the charges which he is facing, which Combs could, if convicted, spend the rest of his life in prison. Court, the defense quickly got to it, showing jurors a string of extremely explicit messages Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura sent each other. The defense is suggesting Ventura was an eager sexual partner who matched Combs' desire. Ventura took the stand here inside the courtroom at about 9:40 this morning. There has at least been one 10-minute recess. The Combs family is also here. Sean Combs' 3 sons and his mother. Defense attorney Ana Esteveo began by asking Ventura about the couple's relationship early on. Ventura agreed in the beginning it was mutually loving. The defense has a tremendous amount of evidence, thousands of messages Combs sent Ventura and she sent him. In one, Combs wrote, quote, "It makes me so happy that you would fly to ATL just to see me. I'm a very lucky man." Ventura replied, quote, "I'm a very lucky woman. I miss you so much. I'd fly wherever you needed me, whenever." In another message, Ventura told Combs, quote, "I love you so much, it consumes my life." Then things shifted in terms of the questions. The defense zeroing in on the so-called freak-offs. Ventura has insisted she did not want to take part in the drug-fueled sex sessions, only did so because she loved Combs and wanted to keep the peace. The defense has argued Ventura was not sex trafficked, but a willing partner in Combs' swingers lifestyle. To prove that point, the jurors saw this exchange between the couple. Ventura writing, quote, "I'm always ready to freak off. Combs, I can't wait to watch you. I want you to get real hot. Ventura, me too. I just want to be uncontrollable."
So what we're going to see on Cassie's cross-examination is they are going to poke holes at the things that they believe show that she was under Sean's control and that she wasn't free to leave and that some of these things were not consensual. And so the defense is really looking for anything and everything that she has stated on the stand that can show that she was actually a willing participant, she was aware of the choices she was making, and that she was free to leave at any time.
Now, testimony is still going down here in federal court. We expect to see more of this line of questioning throughout the day. Ventura is pregnant. She's in her 3rd trimester. Prosecutors told the judge she has to finish testifying by the end of day Friday because she could go into labor soon.
All right, so that's the gist of what she said. She said a lot more. Obviously, we can get more into the details, but all right. My opinion is I definitely feel like there was in the beginning it was consensual. I think it was absolutely consensual in the beginning. But I think there probably was a time allegedly that things have maybe turned where she didn't want it anymore. That's where I stand at. Have all the elements of the crime been there yet for me? I don't know yet. But I'm opening it up to you, Ronnie. We'll let you go first. How do you feel about the case so far? What you've heard?
What's good? What's good? Good people. Good people.
What's up?
So for me, I can kind of, how can I put this? We don't really know all the facts yet, right?
Yeah.
Is Puffy one of those predator type deals? Allegedly, we don't know. I mean, a lot of his people that work with him or work for him was kind of like, hey, you don't ever want to be at his parties. You feel what I mean? But they never said that it was something that was like, you know what I mean, forced on anybody. You know what I'm saying? He didn't make people stay. You know what I'm saying? If you want to leave, bounce. But I'm sure that so how I look at it is if I had a 19-year-old daughter, right, who's married or who's dealing with some multi-gazillionaire guy, and he's that much older than she is, I would definitely have a conversation with her, right? But she's grown, right?
Yeah.
And you say in the beginning, it's always in the beginning. In the beginning, it's always great in the beginning. Something changed, and now all of a sudden, what we were doing in our beginning is something's changed. What changed? We don't know yet. So I'm sure that'll probably come out in this trial also.
Yeah.
Is he an abuser? Heck yeah, that dude beat the hell out of a woman. That is unexcusable, right? There is no excuse for what took place there. He should have been put in jail then.
Yeah.
But of course, this is back almost 10 years ago. So people are going to look at it like it happened yesterday, but it was 10 years ago. And there are sitting judges, there's sitting politicians, there are basketball players, there's number one football players that have done much worse to their spouses or their partners, and they not on trial for that.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? And it's known. You know what I mean? They got these things on their record. So for everybody to try to vilify this guy or this or Sean Combs just for beating his wife, yeah, he should be vilified. But should he spend the rest of his life in prison? If that was my daughter, I'm gonna leave it at that. Just think about if that was my
Yeah.
daughter, right?
But the charge, he's not even charged with that.
Right. So I'm getting to that, right?
Okay.
So most people are judging him on that incident, right? And even though he's not being, I was gonna get to that point. He's not being charged for that, but that is the number one thing people always bring up. Well, he beat the hell out of her in this freaking thing, and he tried to cover it up, paid up the security people that they probably always do. Right, not just him. I'm sure all the celebrities do that kind of stuff. Even if there's nothing that did pop off, they be like, hey, no, then nobody came. I came with, I'm a little sad boot type. So it's a normal thing for them to do that, right? So that's not abnormal. So that's another non-abnormal thing that those rich people do. They do it, and it's a known thing, right?
Yeah.
So they trying to get him for one. I think my honest opinion, they're trying to tear him down not just because of that incident. It's something else to get this highlighted to where it's at right now. It's not just this Cassie thing. It's not that. Something business-wise, something that we aren't privy to yet is the linchpin to me that why they're pressuring him so hard. This is just my opinion.
Okay.
Did he racketeer? Did he bust, say, girls to his parties? I'm sure he did. Like every celebrity that goes to these parties do. They don't have that many friends. They call a service and say, hey, bring. How do you think they do their videos? You feel what I mean? What do you think those women are? They bust them in. Is that considered racketeering? Because a lot of those women that do those videos, what do you think they go to do the videos with those celebrities? You think they just go dance? Some of them do professionally, but a lot of them go make a bag of soup. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a abnormal thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I can say on a smaller scale, you know what I'm saying? No, that's a normal type of thing. You feel what I mean? Like at that, so I can just imagine what it's like having that amount of money. Did he probably coerce her or he's in a position. He's basically her boss. See, this is where the problem comes in that way. That's why you shouldn't be dating your boss, basically, right? Because he controls a lot of things. He basically says, "Hey, do what I want you to do, or I'm not gonna release your album. I'm gonna shelve you." So that's considered coercion, right? Right or wrong?
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, absolutely.
Can they get him on that? I mean, I'm sure he got a lot of other artists that he got. He probably got music 10 years ago that he ain't released because you know what I mean, coercion type deal. So in my opinion, does he meet the racketeering thing? No. But could you make him? Could you make him at that level? Any rich person, if you really look into them and how they do business, all of them racketeers. All of them.
Well, the racketeer part comes in because you knowingly committing a crime.
No, listen. Listen. I promise you, they're all doing it, bro. I'm just being. I'm a realist. I don't sugarcoat stuff. People. That's what I don't like about how they trying to vilify this guy. Right? Is he a villain? And beating it? Is he an abuser of women? Yes. Does he take his power and use it? Yes. Like 100% of those people in that position, right? Did he coerce her? I'm sure he probably coerced every one of his artists, like all the other executives in this field, right? Because you can look at all of them. If you look at every executive, every single one of them has done things to their artists. None of them like their executives. So let's go with that portion of it, right? So what is he really being charged with? So when they start throwing this racketeering, these type of RICO things, and these big umbrella type things, is that they don't have anything solid. They just looking for throwing an encyclopedia at him trying to catch a word.
Okay.
Of course you're gonna catch a word. You feel what I mean? You an encyclopedia, it's hundreds of millions of words in there. You feel what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what racketeering. That's when they come up. Whenever they come up with RICO, I can talk to you more about offline stuff about RICO and all this other stuff because I got some personal stuff in that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how they get down,
Okay.
right? So they'll throw this stuff at you because they know that they don't have anything solid enough to bring real charges on you. So they throw an umbrella and say this umbrella gonna catch a raindrop. You feel
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? That's why they
Yeah.
at this 97 point something percent eviction or conviction rate. Because a lot of times people take the deal because they don't have bread like Sean Combs do. He can fight the government. We can't.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna lose against the government,
Yeah.
right? We'll lose against the government,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Him, nah. Because you got to think about how a lot of these rich people get off. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing, like the dude, the freak off dude, or let's go with the cop, right? Or the
Hold on.
security guard at the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
at the
I'm,
beginning.
I'm,
I'm
I'm
gonna go
gonna get
real.
somebody else in. I'm gonna come back to you. Let me come
Yeah.
back to you.
Okay.
I'm
I'm
gonna come
sorry.
back to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
come
This
back
is
to you.
deep. I told you
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole
I
time.
know. All
I'm
right.
about to break this whole thing down to you, bro.
All right.
Whole thing. I've
And
been
I'm gonna give you
researching
up.
this.
You
Yeah.
up next.
Yeah.
How do you feel about what you heard so far? This
Hey,
case in
peeps,
general.
how everybody doing? Thank
Welcome
you for
back to the
having me
couch.
on. Yeah, I agree with Ronnie. Um, I'm trying to understand how her testimony ties into the charges that were that's over his head, that's hanging over him right now. How
Mm-hmm.
does her testimony ties into that? Because we all know that he's abusive.
Yeah.
We all know that he's a freaky dude.
Yeah.
He's a freaky dude on another level, freaky dude. And he can get on that level that a normal person can't get on because he got the money to do it. So I just want to see how does her testimony translates into all the other charges that they thrown on at him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Ronnie's right. They threw a whole bunch of shit on the wall and trying to see what's going to stick.
Well, so the way I've because I've been watching a lot of videos on this and trying to break it down. The way they're tying a racketeering is they're saying he used his organization, his record company, to fel- fe- fe- felicitate the
Facilitate.
ability facilitate.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
Mhm.
Facilitate the ability to do the sex trafficking and the prostitution. And where they now you have to go to because he used his record company by saying, "Oh, you're going to get the 10 record deal and only put out one album." And then just using the money that he has in and of itself in his organization, using his assistants and stuff like that to set up the rooms and do everything and stuff like that. Where the sex trafficking part comes in at and is the fraud, like I said, the forced fraud or coercion. So she's saying she was coerced by him having the videos and him showing her the videos, and then she would say, "Hey, please erase them." And then he'll say, I got these videos, and I can put them out there in the world and basically ruin you. And then so she says he never once said to her, I will say that he did not say to her, "If you don't do the freak off, I'm gonna show these videos." He never once said that. But he just kept
Mhm.
saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna erase them," and then keep showing them to her, like, "Yeah, I got
Where's the
these. Look what I
coercion
got."
at?
But very few people, going to say, "Yo, if you don't do this, I'm gonna do that." That's a movie. That's not really going to happen in real life. I mean, that's like saying, you got a really nice car right there. It'd be shame if something happened to it. That's different than saying, "I'm about to blow up your car if you don't do X, Y, and Z." You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's where I think and so that's where they have to prove the force, and they're using the violence as a means of saying she felt forced because of the fact that he was beating her up, and she felt like she had to do that.
You know, if you go to when all this started with her, she was a willing participant.
She was.
Okay. And everything was good up until a certain point. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
and what that point was for her, I haven't heard. Was did he get a
It
little
was
bit
the
too
beatings.
freaky? Yeah,
Yeah.
now the beatings was, hey man, that's the dude went over top with that. That's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's he should have actually went to jail for that. Ronnie's right.
Yeah.
Why didn't they put him in jail for that?
Mm-hmm.
That's video. You know, that dude should be, or he's locked up, but he should be locked up for good for beating that girl and dragging her
Yeah.
down the hall like she's Wilma Flintstone,
But that was just
Betty
one
Rubble.
incident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's one incident that we know of.
No, no. She talked about other ones. She
I
talked
know she
about
talked
getting
about it,
beat all the time, but
but visually to be able to see
see that. Yeah.
that's bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about the case itself with the trafficking that he's being accused of and using his influence. How does her testimony ties into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the prosecution is going to have to present other individuals who are willing to testify and say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we know that he have used his power to do these
Yeah.
things,
I agree. I definitely agree with you there.
right? Because I feel bad for the girl. We all do. This to see that. That's what's a travesty to see that. But it does go. What they're doing really is trying to show his character,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's show what kind of character this guy is, and let's start off with this most devastating thing uh, with his girlfriend at the time, what he did to her that we have video footage of.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the case go as the prosecution move forward and how they present the case to prove all those major charges that they have
Yeah.
against him, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Holly, are you here?
Yes,
Patiently waiting.
sir, I am.
Yes,
Oh
ma'am.
yeah,
Welcome back to the couch.
Of
Welcome back to the
course.
couch.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
how do you feel about the case so far and your feelings? I would love to hear your perspective of being a woman.
My blood is boiling right now. Really, it is. It truly is.
Okay.
And it's boiling for a few reasons. One, I couldn't agree with everyone more. The physical beating aspect of it, 100%. I thought that is what I believe he's the only thing he probably should be on trial for is beating that
Mm.
lady. Now, unless they find that there was some minors involved, which I think that's a part of the charges, maybe. I don't know.
No.
It's
Mm-mm.
not okay. So if
Mm-mm.
these all grown
Not
folks,
as of yet that I've heard of.
okay. So I know there was some things about maybe Usher or some of them other people like
Yeah.
Justin Bieber. I didn't know. I haven't been following the case that closely, but these are all grown people that have minds of their own. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because I just couldn't fathom being in a situation like that and not being okay with it and staying and just tolerating it because
Mm.
he's a celebrity of sorts. The other thing that bothers me, and I think most people, and I hate to bring this up, but I think it's racially motivated. You
Mm.
look at, I had to while you guys were talking, I was looking up because I remember the Abercrombie and Fitch dude. Remember what?
No, I don't remember this case.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just okay. So it's Abercrombie and Fitch, dude. Same thing. Michael Jeffries. Now, this is this year. This is going on now, but it's not getting as much publicity as Sean Combs is. But just I wanted to read you just this little part right here. Jeffries is his name, has been free on $10 million bond since pleading guilty last October. So he out
Oh,
walking
wow.
free on federal charges of sex trafficking and interstate prostitution on Long Island. Prosecutors say he and his partner, Matthew Smith, so apparently they're gay,
Mm-hmm.
along with a third man, James Jacobson, used the promise of modeling jobs to lure men to drug-fueled sex parties in New York City, the Hamptons, and other locations. 16-count indictment outlines allegations of sex trafficking from December of 2008 to March of 2015. What's the difference?
Mm. Yeah, right there.
What's the difference?
That is no difference right there.
But
Now,
this
No.
was he
man
was he
traveled
charged? State was the state? Did the state charge him? Was the federal government charge him?
Let me see. I believe it's got to be sex trafficking. I'm federal judge ruled.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
Okay,
That's
it's
federal.
federal.
that's
Yeah,
federal.
any of
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff is
federal.
federal.
It's
The reason,
federal.
Okay.
the difference. Yeah, I'm sorry. The difference between them two though is those, and I agree with you, Holly, 100%. But Sean had the biggest part is that he has a criminal record. They didn't, right? So he's been in jail before for a bunch of different things. So
Who,
that's a
Puffy?
whole yeah. Puff's been in jail a couple times, bro. Yeah.
But before
He's
the
ever been
So,
convicted
investigation,
of anything? I
yeah,
gotta look that up. I don't know if he's
yeah,
ever been convicted of
yes, yeah,
anything.
man. He got, yeah,
Let me
man.
see.
He's had charges and all that stuff, man. He's never, you,
Charges is
yeah, man.
different than
Hey,
convictions.
remember all that stuff? Like, yeah, man. No, he's got convicted, bro. Yeah, you got to look his record up, bro. He
I'm
got
looking
stuff
for it
on
now.
he got stuff on his record, but those other guys didn't. And I agree. These are two completely different things to me, and they doing the same kind of the same thing, but one pleaded guilty
No, he's
already.
never been convicted of a
No,
crime.
no,
Hate
no,
to, hate
no,
to
no,
interrupt.
no,
He's
no.
never
I'm
been
talking about
convicted of a crime
right.
before.
How many times? How many times he been charged?
He's been hold on. However, he is currently facing
Well,
federal
that's now
charges. Yeah.
right.
but I don't see what my thing is. I don't see how what they did is any different than what he's been. And I'm not coming to his defense.
hmm
You know, he, he has some serious character flaws. Just start
Yeah.
there. He does.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, he does. But
Yeah.
if you got these three men who are doing the same exact thing, almost, I mean,
hmm
but they out on bond. There's no way that this cannot. They wanted to teach him a lesson for the world to see, and for any other music moguls or anybody else in that position, that we can get your tail if we really want to.
Yeah.
I really,
Well,
really, really believe that.
I think it's more than
I,
that. I think it's the violence part too. Because I think let me see if he was charged. I don't know, because I know they were
you,
talking about charging with arson as well for blowing up Kid Cudi's. Like they're saying like he's more of a violent person as well than just the sex itself.
Well, the sex itself is not violent. Apparently, these people was there. They rubbing baby oil
yeah,
on each
Yeah.
other. That's not violent.
Yeah.
They're
I
they're
agree with you.
enjoying this. And then when you read the fact that that text between them two, him and Cassie,
hmm
there was a point when she was consensual. And
There was a point.
yeah, now I do know, you at any point no means no. Get it, got it.
Right.
But it's hard for me to fathom her because she's celebrity herself. You know what I'm saying? She has a
Yeah.
platform and everything. Just to stay in that and be that a subject to, that type of abuse. And I know women do it. Hell, men do it.
hmm
It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that they charging him with all of these charges based on adults.
Oh,
You know,
okay. So
yeah,
to
but
go further
Howie,
into. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ian. And I'll go further into it in a second.
Howie, I agree with you 100%. But let's just be real about it. It's P Diddy Combs. He's a big fish, right? Black or white, this dude is a big fish, and the government, they don't. That's what they want to go after. Is the big fish, right? Everybody after that is secondary.
okay, if
And
nothing, I'm sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, if nothing else, why are the Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson case, why are they out on bond?
That I don't know. I
That's a
don't
good
know
question.
because I'm
That-
That,
thinking.
you know
I'm
what?
thinking. Go ahead.
I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
You're right. It's
Yeah.
definitely there's
It's.
something going on with his the race thing for sure.
Mhm.
The truth of the matter is we are treated differently
That's true.
than
That's absolutely
everyone
true.
else.
That's
We
absolutely
get
true.
we get screwed first. We got to work harder. We got to bow down. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that thing with us as black folks. We get treated differently. They
absolutely.
they they tend to get a pass on a
Sure.
lot of things that we just do not get the passes on.
That's
I
true.
agree.
That's absolutely
Okay.
Agree.
true. That's
And
the
it's
level. So,
sad, and it makes my blood boil for that just
mhm,
reason. And I'm not defending either one of them, either
yeah.
case, whether it's the Abercrombie and Fitch or Sean Combs, any of that. Like I said, I think all of them have some serious character flaws, period. But if we're gonna balance the scales, let's balance them and treat everybody the same. These jokers should be locked up, waiting trial, just like he's locked up, waiting trial. Or
Hmm.
he should be out on 10 million, $20 million bond, just like they out on $20 million.
You,
Yeah.
you, you know, to,
No,
to be
So,
very honest with you, not to cut you off, but I never understood why did he not, why was he not afforded the right to get a bond
exactly.
so
with
I'm
this,
about to go
right?
into this. So
Okay,
let
go
me go
ahead.
into
Go
the
ahead.
two things. So, number one reason why, so he is actually being charged with arson as a part of the racketeering. So Combs is currently facing federal charges that include arson as part of a broader racketeering conspiracy. The indictment alleges that Combs led a criminal enterprise engaging in various illegal activities, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, bribery, and arson. So
What did he burn out? What did he, what,
allegedly he when Puffy found out that Cassie was messing with Kid Cudi, he told Cassie that he would blow up her car,
Okay.
and Kid Cudi car got blown up.
Ooh,
oh, so,
okay.
Yeah,
so they saying that his
he
car
blew
got blown up because
because
Puffy put the
Puffy.
word out.
Yeah, Puffy put the word out and got his car blew up. And then they got, like I said, forced labor and kidnapping. They got kidnapping in it. So those are some violent offenses. So
Sure.
that's the reason why his bond was denied at first. And then now, going further into the bond, Sean Combs has been denied bond multiple times while waiting for the federal charges. And the reason why the judge denied it is because of risk of witness tampering, which is what Eddie is talking about.
Okay.
Evidence suggests that Combs
Yeah.
attempted to interfere with potential witnesses, raising concerns about the integrity of the judicial process. And they said that he was doing that before he got arrested and after. I do know that for a fact.
Okay.
Since
Yeah.
he was in jail, I know they said he got a burner phone and he was calling witnesses trying to witness tamper while he was in jail.
This case is in New York?
It's in
Is
New
it New
York.
York case?
Well, it's a federal case,
It's
but
a federal
it's in
case
New
in New
York.
York, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
federal case in New
You,
York.
he's in
The
trouble.
other
Let me tell you,
reasons,
the federal, the New York federal prosecution, they don't lose a
they don't
lot,
play.
man.
They don't lose a
No,
lot. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they don't. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so here go the other two reasons why he was denied bail. Violation of jail communication rules. While incarcerated, Combs allegedly used other inmates' phones accounts and arranged unmonitored three-way calls, indicating a disregard for established protocols. And lastly, compelling evidence of violence. The court acknowledged substantial evidence pointing to Combs's propensity for violence, including video footage and testimonies from alleged victims. Despite his defense team's proposal of 50 million bail package with stringent conditions, the court determined that no combination of measures could adequately mitigate the risks associated with his release. So that is why, and so I'm guessing that's the difference between him and Abercrombie, as far as legally, is theirs wasn't violent, in which I haven't looked up their situations to see. Theirs wasn't violence. His witness tampering, and they've been convicted, and I guess and pending appeal is why they're out. So
Mm.
that seems like the reasons why he is.
Diddy, he's going around like he's mafioso.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
going around trying to change in people's testimony. So that is
Yeah.
why he's still in jail and never
Okay.
got out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he on a whole different level.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's the
But
big
I,
fish.
Yeah.
well, no, I could.
Yeah.
I
Um,
I
I
talk you more.
still think that they're making an example out of him for future.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Uh, I agree with you, Holly, but unfortunately, right?
mhm.
He he got caught doing what he did, and it's just unfortunate for him, that they always want to use someone as an example, and
mhm.
he's the perfect person to use as an example to, look, you do this is what's going to happen to you.
Yes.
Because think about this. In the past, back in the day or whatever, how far you want to go, Ronnie's right. All this stuff been going on, man. Look at Weinstein,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
This stuff been going on. Look at Cosby.
Yeah.
That was like the norm of things. It was okay back then,
Yeah.
and the society at some point, you know, it shifted and changed, and now Diddy, he's operating as though, I got all this money and I'm untouchable, and it just isn't working out for him at this particular time because society has changed. He got
Mm-hmm.
caught up thinking that he was an untouchable when he's really not.
Yeah.
Right.
He should have heed to what was happening with Bill Cosby being put in jail after
Hmm.
someone, the girl come and accuse him 20, 30 years later.
Hmm.
He should have put the brakes on the way. That was a 30-year deal. They put my man, that's 30 years ago, and this girl accused him and he's in jail. But no, Diddy decided that I'm not going to stop. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to keep on doing what I'm doing.
So I got a question. Do you guys think that we're gonna hear about other celebrities? Like, do you think, in other words, do you think Diddy is going to snitch on other celebrities doing the same things in his trial?
No, no.
Nah.
If they find something, they're going to have to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Diddy is not going to give up no one because he's from the hood. He's from the streets, right? He,
So snitches get stitches.
you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that type of thing. He don't want to be up in there and be known as a snitch.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they probably already went to him and presented him with a offer that matter of fact, they did. They presented him with an offer. He's like, no, I don't want
Yeah,
it.
he didn't want to do it. Yeah.
He's not snitching. He ain't gonna tell on nobody.
Yeah,
They're
and
gonna
it was
have to
only like
find
5
it.
years, right?
I don't know
Right.
what the
No,
offer
five.
was.
5 years or something. It was
Or
small.
something. It's small, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, we're gonna go to court, and I'm not telling you about anybody else. They're gonna have to find it in his computers. They're gonna have to find it on his phone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna be sealed up on that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just want to side one quick and tell everybody, if you're watching on Facebook, please go to the YouTube and join on there. Join the conversation on there. If you want to get into the conversation, I have put the links into the comments. Also, if you're on YouTube, please hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. We're trying to grow the membership, grow the Shipwreck, and get as big as possible to have more people on the couch sitting here and enjoying it. All right. With that being said, next question. If you guys had one question to ask Diddy, I'm gonna start with you, Ant. What would that be if you had a question to ask Diddy yourself? What would you ask him?
That's a good one. Let me think about that.
Okay,
Go ahead, Holly.
Holly.
I think my first question to him would be, do you feel like you did anything? Would you go back and change anything? Or
Mm,
not so much go back and change it,
Mm.
but maybe do you think you did anything wrong? Is there
mhm.
anything that you want to apologize sincerely? Because he apologized for the Cassie thing, but I think that was, I got caught, let me apologize and
Yeah,
try to get some
absolutely.
heat off of me.
Mhm.
But is there anything where you looking back and saying, you know what, I really screwed up? Just honestly,
Hmm.
and just say,
Mhm.
this is where I screwed up, and this is where I sincerely want to apologize for and take accountability for. Because there's something, I don't know what, but there's some when you peel these layers back, there's some things that he did that he know wasn't right. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? So I
yeah,
think that would be my question. If he would
yeah.
answer it honestly, if we can ask the question and have him answer it honestly, that's the question I would ask him. What did you do wrong, and what would you have done differently? And can you apologize?
Yeah, and the question of asking as a lawyer, asking period, like what would you ask him if you just can sit down and talk to Puffy? It ain't got to be to get him convicted or get him off or anything. Just to ask him a question. What would you ask him?
Yeah, that's mine.
That's yeah. Ronnie, what would you ask? What would you ask Puffy?
What I would ask Puff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could put it into one question, but for I guess one question would be, I guess I would kind of be in the line of like, what would you change? What
Mm-hmm.
decisions would you have made? What would you make earlier, or what would you change that happened earlier?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, asking him a question would be like, Like, what kind of a monster do you think people see you as? That's the question I would ask him. I would ask him, do you think people see you as a monster, and why? And see what his thought process is. And that's something one of the questions I would boil it down to. It was kind of two questions though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I think my question to Puff would be, why
I'm still here though.
does he feel, or did he feel the need to beat on that girl the way he beat on her? And not only her,
Mm.
but I'm quite sure if he done it to her, he have done it to other women. You don't just do that one off. It's not a one off with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Why does he feel that he had to be abusive or be abusive in that manner to those women like that? And be honest. What's going through your head? Because for me, when you think about him, all these women that are out here, there's a million women out here. If she didn't want to be a part of the game no more, you can go get the next one down the street,
Yeah. So
right?
yeah. Go ahead. Just made me thought of something. Um,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So, like I said, if I'm listening to this case, he has been very, very, very controlling. Like I said, he started a relationship when she was 21, and he owned all of her cars. He owned all of her apartments and houses that she was living in. He obviously controlled her career. Um, if he didn't talk to her on the phone, he would immediately send his bodyguards or send somebody to go find her where she was and bring her back to us. Like, see, so he was very, very controlling. And so I can see how the relationship went from consensual to now I really don't want to do this anymore, but I still have to because I do love him, but I have to because I don't want to get beat anymore. I can see how the case is shaping up to where he could possibly that he could lose.
Mm,
I think the defense is doing a decent job right now of showing some reasonable doubt by showing that just to read off some of the text messages, like she said she wanted to be uncontrollable. That 2.5 years after they started dating, she would say stuff, I can do it whenever, wherever, whatever matters to me, like so she would call him and say, hey, I want to have a threesome with girls. And he would ask, he asked, have you done it before? Yeah, I've been with girls before, but not with. I want to see you be with the girl too. And so she was definitely into it at a time. But the thing for me is, when did it go from her being into it and having it? Because they got tons of text messages showing and emails of them actually with their BlackBerry messages tell you how old it was, before we even had iPhone, real text messages and stuff, or text messages called so much. And so for her to where did it change from her being consensual and sending all these messages, I love doing this was great, to I don't really want to do it anymore, and then seeing if her behavior changed? Because obviously she never, and I think she's already said that she never went out and actually said to him, I don't want to do this anymore, you're making me do this and I don't want to do this anymore. And he never said to her, if you don't continue to do this anymore, you're going to be I'm gonna let these videos out and the world's gonna be ashamed, you're gonna be ashamed of all this stuff. So that concrete thing never really happened. So to me, it has to be a behavioral thing. Did the behavior, did she stop sending those text messages saying, oh, I want to see that this is, I just feel euphoric from these, from us doing this and all of this stuff, to okay, yes, sir. You know what I mean? Not saying yes, sir, but yes, okay.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like did her behavior and her text messages change and evolve, from euphoria to really yes, sir? You know?
Right. No, I'm with
Mhm.
you. I'm with you. So for me, I gotta look at the time. People don't. They're not looking at the time comp part of this too. This ain't happened last year or nothing like this. Is we talking years ago? You feel what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
she's been. When did they break up? When they finally break up was
17,
18.
18, 18,
Yeah.
19,
So
something
that's
like that.
6, 7 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
people looking at it like it's recent, like it's now, but you got to go back into the context of those time frames too. So he was a younger dude, you know what I'm saying? For me, how I look at on her side of it is like some women like that. Some women like dudes that do that kind of stuff. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? something I alluded to earlier, something did change. Maybe he got another girl. Maybe he started doing the same thing. Maybe she just grew up. You feel what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
she's like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, this ain't what I want no more. So it could have been a whole bunch of different things. You feel what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's what people got to understand, that this ain't happening now. This is years ago. You know what I mean? You got to put your light on that part of their lives too, because she was
Mm-hmm.
younger at that point too. She was initiating some of these uh you know um encounters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She was a willing partner into that. I mean, but even for us, Mike, if you look at us, right? You look at where we started at when we were young kids and to where we are now. We ain't the same people. We just grew up. You
Yeah.
feel what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where you got to look at it in that portion of it. And I'm thinking like, where if nothing never concrete ever happened, then where's the coercion at?
Yeah.
You feel what I mean? Like, how did I coerce you? If I never explicitly said, or you never anything hear me tell you, or someone that you know that I said or I was gonna do, how am I coercing you? I ain't put no gun in your head, say you better stay. You can't. That girl was still touring. She was making records. You know, she was a big star back then. You know what I'm saying? She
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
out in the public. You know what I mean? She was around people that she could have easily got away from all that stuff from. You
Yeah,
feel what I mean?
yeah,
So for me, that's why I was like, dang, you know what? If my daughter was to do something like that, I would still, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna say this on public, but y'all know me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like, damn, this
you,
dude is a freaking woman beater. He's a woman beater, but they charging him with the wrong stuff. Listen, he's a woman beater. He does that stuff. He don't. You can't throw the freaking umbrella out there trying to catch a rain. You're gonna catch a rain dropping some bullshit. You feel what I mean? If that's the case, we all would be in jail. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
they'll find
And,
something. Because what they
go ahead.
97, 98%
Yeah.
win streaks. Stop it.
Go ahead,
I
Aunt.
hear what you're saying, Ron. You're right, but at some point in time, at some point in time, she started off, oh yeah, she's into it. Of course she is. It's P. Diddy. I'm be into whatever he want me to be into. Because this is P. Diddy. I want to ride with him. But at some point in time, he went, okay, I don't want to do this no more.
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't know this. He became abusive. He didn't want her to go. He didn't want to let her go. Right? At some point in time, uh, uh, Diddy should have just let that girl go. And like I said, there's a million women out there. Why didn't he just let
Yeah.
that girl go? He didn't have to
Right.
abuse her the way that he abused her
Yep.
because he wanted for her
Mm-hmm.
to stay in his little world that he got going on, right?
Yeah.
Because in his world he controls everything.
See.
He
I
controls
See.
think
everything in this world.
And that's what makes it
Mm,
force. If he does
Yeah,
not
it
let her
is.
go,
That's
that's what
true.
makes her force.
That's what makes it
dude,
forced.
listen.
But it does go back to, and Ronnie, this is where you're talking about.
Hmm.
How does that really tie into all this other charge of the racketeering and charges and everything else?
Right.
Right? Because we know that he's freaky. He got like 25,000 cases of oil. The dude is freaky. You know, he got an
Or he
oil
ashy as
factory.
hell. Or he ashy as hell.
He's so ashy that he need a whole bunch of oil. He done went to Italy to get olive oil. I mean, the dude just got oil. And
Maybe.
he's just a freak, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he definitely
But
freak.
the abusive nature, that's a mental thing.
Hmm.
That's his mental makeup. Uh,
Hmm.
To me,
I
he became power hungry because he'd been allowed to be who he was for so long that mentally he just he's not really able to go back to
Mm-hmm.
just being a regular ordinary dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm this dude. I'm this dude. I'm P Diddy. I can do anything I want to do, and no, you can't leave. I mean,
right. I think too.
the girl said no. Okay, and he went. I don't hear that.
Yeah.
I don't
I,
hear that.
I think too. Like you said, AC, and I think Ronnie, you alluded to it as well. the money was no longer, he had reached that status. There was no more money he can get. So now it's all about control and power. I think somebody put that in the chat too.
Yeah.
Snooty Nudie put that. It's about control. So he was a power hungry person at this point. But as I was sitting here thinking, Ship, you know, when you asked what question I would ask, I would ask that first question, but I thought about it. And I think a better question that I would have asked him, who in your circle told you to stop?
Yeah.
You know, because there were so many people around. Who in your circle pulled you aside?
Man,
Because I
that's
think
deep.
it's imperative, especially when you get to that level. But in life, period, you have to have people to keep you grounded, to check you.
Mm-mm.
Period.
Mm-mm.
You need to be checked. They don't not telling you what you want to
Nope.
That's
hear.
real.
When you want to
Nope.
hear it. There had to be somebody.
Nope.
And I was
Yeah.
That's
like,
what.
You talk about us as we're normal people. We
Yeah.
don't have the
No.
ability to pay for any and everybody to be around us and be yes men. We don't have that ability, Holly. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
yeah, no, but I'm
All
saying
right.
there had to be somebody.
No.
I mean,
There,
somebody.
mm-mm.
There had
Okay.
to
I know what you're saying, Holly, but I don't. I think Puffy have a whole bunch of people, or had a whole bunch of people around him that
I
were yes
Mm-hmm.
people. They just went
Mm-hmm.
with the flow.
I
See, all
I
right,
think
Holly.
maybe they went with the flow initially, or eventually
Yeah.
or whatever. But
They
I
didn't
think
want to be. They didn't want to
somebody.
get fired.
No, I think somebody had some integrity. He had to have at least one person in his circle that had a little bit of integrity and
Holly.
character to say, "Stop it." You know, somebody. I just refuse to believe there was absolutely no one in his circle that had a tiny bit of integrity.
I got
His
one question.
mama.
How they got one question for you? Who do you think Trump has anybody in his circle that tells him to stop it?
Yeah.
I
You know what
do.
it is? I
You
think
do?
they both did. I think they both do. But your person, listen, who's in charge of a conversation? Is it the person asking the question or the person that's receiving the question? It's the person that's receiving the question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to respond to you. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't have to give you. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to. You can tell me all you want to stop
I do. And like I said,
and keep walking that way. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I
and
think he
like,
does have those people there,
he
but
may
they
not
just
have
don't
listened.
listen.
He
Yep,
may
he
not have
didn't.
listened, and eventually
Yeah.
their integrity was
Yep.
shot at one. Eventually. But I refuse to believe there was not one person in his circle that had a little bit of integrity. The same with Trump. There's somebody, and he just don't listen to him. But I
Yep.
believe somebody said something. So
Oh
I
yeah.
would like to know who that person is.
Well, they
Look at the.
probably fired. They probably fired now, Holly. That person that said something to him. He's like, I ain't gonna
Yeah.
listen to you. You're gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that may be the case, but I would love to know who that was because there
Yeah.
were so many people around him, and and all these people knew what was going on and how he was behaving and acting. This was not done in a vacuum. He didn't make all this stuff in a vacuum all by himself. There was
Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah.
that he collaborated with to make all of this happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. No,
Yeah.
I agree. Letting one of our icon like dude like that fail. Yeah, it was conspiracy to happen. It wasn't just him. It was a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of other people. It was probably that one strong person that was like a 9, and he had the extra other 10 to say yes, do it, because he was the 10th person. You feel what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm like, man, this dude. I can't believe that that circle would let an icon like that kind of fit. You know what I mean? Get to even to
Mm-hmm.
that position. You know what I mean? That's what we felt at with our icons. We got to protect them dudes, or the people that's around them got to protect them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like really protect them. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen,
Protect them
we is
from
not.
But
themselves.
yeah,
Yes, you have to, but you
but they
still
have to
like you
protect
have to
themselves
listen.
too. They
Yeah,
got to be
yeah,
able to.
yeah. Not
They got to be
24/7. Yeah,
able to listen as well, and
correct.
and from all accounts that I've been listening to about this dude, he's just a terrible human being, and he has been for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For a very, very, very long time. Not just to him, and not just pertaining to Cassie and the sex and all this stuff, but the artists and just the people that he had around him or working for him. He's just a terrible human being.
Well,
And
can I rebut that a little though?
go ahead,
So I like to. So and I'm not. I agree with you, but I like to rebut things a little bit.
go
So you
ahead.
got to think. So okay, he did everybody, but that's where we mess up with our people like that too. It's like, yes, he does dumb, stupid, unimaginable. Like, what in a woo boo are you doing? But that's just on this side of the zero. right? Where's the
Mm-hmm.
other side of the zero? Where's the positive that he's done? That he
Oh,
don't
he's done
even
a
get
lot of
recognition for?
positive.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. But we don't even talk about that because it don't
Mm-hmm.
matter what he's done. Like, right? Because you can get something right. You know what I mean? 9 out of 10, you fail. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
you need to be. You know, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what we fail at. Where we like, okay, he did this. Oh, it just nullifies that he just built. He just sent 1,000 kids to college for you know, to their doctorate type. You know what I mean? Oh, nope. That just don't worry about this. He made 15 millionaires, a couple hundred millionaires. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But nope. He did this. That just nullifies all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I think where we get lost at a lot of times is that we let the outside put us where they want us to think on this one side of it. You got to remember that this trial is only the prosecution is wanting you to paint the picture. The defense
Mm-hmm.
ain't even came up to throw a left hook yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
got their
It
guard up
just
right now.
yeah.
So we
Yeah.
gotta know what the mind of the defense is right now too, because on the opposite side of that is going to be those amount of people saying those great things that he's done. You feel what I mean?
Yeah.
Do we discount them? Do we say, oh, they just zombies? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that's where we got to keep. That's where we have to keep focus at a lot of times. Don't just sway it one way. It's in right now because the trial is not over by any means.
No stretch of
You know what I'm saying?
imagination. No. He's
I get to say my say too. Like, hold
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could consciously, if I was sitting on the jury and all the stuff that I've heard so far, I
Right.
don't think I could convict him today
Right.
off of everything. Now,
Right.
I take that. I could convict him off of soliciting prostitution, wherever the one charge of it wasn't soliciting. Let me go back to it. I want to make sure I say it correctly. Transportation for prostitution. I think he convicted of that one. Right now. I mean, I think that's a given. But I think even
Oh
that would
my
be time
goodness.
served right now, just simply because of the
A
fact
statute
that,
of limitation.
he already been in jail for 9 months. So
Or
yeah, so
yeah, or
that one I
statute of
could see
limitation.
happening.
Yeah.
But
I
Yeah.
the
I
other
don't even think
ones,
he should even go to jail for that. You've
no,
been in
but he's
Vegas.
already
You've
in
been,
jail now, so
yeah,
it would
no,
be
that we
time
said,
service.
but
So he would get
time
out.
served.
He would get
Yeah,
out. Yeah,
that's a no brainer. I mean, you've been to Vegas. What you think they're doing in Vegas? They got prostitution.
yeah,
They transporting from hotel to hotel. What type of
yeah,
transportation we talking about? Is it across state lines?
yeah,
You know what I'm trying to
yeah,
say? Oh
Yeah,
no, it's not
that's why I
across
got a
state
federal case.
lines. It's because it's federal because it's across state lines, right?
Yep.
mm-hmm,
He's
Yep.
yep,
bringing them in from Rhode Island or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, you got an issue because you're in Vegas, they get on those buses and they
yeah.
transporting those girls. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you want them up in the Bellagio? We got you in the Bellagio. you,
100%.
you,
That's
you
my
want
man.
you
Yeah.
want the Venetian? We got you in the
Yeah.
Venetian. Where you at?
Right.
You at Harris?
Right.
Oh, we got you over there too. We're gonna bust them over. And you come.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
every NFL team always say that. I mean, even the NBA guys, they say that the girls already be
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Like who?
they're waiting on them.
So go get all the NBA teams. Go
Right.
get the media that put that information out. That's
Right.
racketeering.
That's
That's
racketeering. That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying. That's a real racketeer. That's the
Yeah.
real racket. Go look at them establishments. See how they get out. You feel what I'm
Transporting
saying?
prostitutes. What that
Yeah.
mean? I
They
get in
trying
my
to get him.
car. I
Go
get
look
my
at the real
car, and the
folk.
prostitute get my
Yeah.
car, and I transport her to the next hotel.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I think it's about time to switch up to the next subject. Like I said, this is a long trial. They said it's gonna be 8 weeks. So we'll be talking about this for a little while. Because I'm really interested to see what happens here. Because I think we all agree that it definitely start with consensual, but somewhere it turned, and they need to prove that it turned and it became force. All
Hmm.
right. So the
Right,
next
right.
subject we're going to talk about is Mr. Hinton, Rodney Hinton. He is a father who ran down a different police officer and allegedly in a rage about his son. All right. Before we go, hold on. Read this last comment on this. Would you sacrifice your daughter for Diddy to make millionaires or pay tuition? The answer is no. So, and I guess what Eddie is getting at here is who gives a shit about what he did positive when he's a rapist, he's a murderer, he's a whatever, alleged, whatever, all of those things. So I absolutely agree. I would not sacrifice my kid. And I don't think Ronnie was saying that either, but he's saying, you should look at his positives too.
Right. Right.
But he's, His positives isn't on trial. We talking about what he possibly allegedly could have done. So with that being said, I have a quick little video just to catch people up, because I think some people have never heard of this case, or if you have, is a little quick refresher. So it's a couple of minutes long, and then we're going to get into how we feel
Hi there,
about
Mike.
it.
This video is
from
very
there.
fast. We're talking about 6 seconds. 6 seconds from the time that officer got out of his vehicle and fired those shots. I do want to warn you, what you're about to watch could be hard to see.
He's got a gun! He's got a gun! On your right! On your right!
In a matter of seconds, it all began with a stolen vehicle, a Kia from Edgewood, Kentucky. GPS tracking led the investigation here, a condo complex in East Bryce Hill. Officers arrived, and Chief Terry Thiegy explains what happened next.
All 4 individuals get out and start running.
On your right! On your right!
Some in different directions. So officers decide which individual they're going to pursue. One officer decides to pursue the individual who we now know had a firearm in his hand.
At some point, the person with the gun slips.
They heard the metal from the firearm hit the concrete. This individual gets up, still has the firearm in his hand, and continues to run through the dumpsters.
The officer who fired the shots was chasing another suspect before he made contact with the armed suspect.
The officer who did discharge his firearm said that when the individual came out between the dumpsters, he had the firearm in front of him. It was in like a bladed position, and it was pointed at the officer. And he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm.
4 to 5 rounds were fired. The suspect was hit twice, given medical care right away, and died. Thiegy says this is the gun the suspect had. A semi-automatic with an extended magazine, with another magazine in his pocket.
Let me be very direct. We cannot allow individuals to flee from officers with a loaded firearm aimed at them. When this happens, the outcome is almost always tragic.
The father of a teen fatally shot by Cincinnati police Thursday, now behind bars, after investigators say he killed a deputy from another department the next day with his car.
There is a connection between these 2 incidents.
38-year-old Rodney Hinton Jr. is charged with aggravated murder. Prosecutors say he intentionally struck a recently retired Hamilton County deputy who was on traffic patrol.
I've got an officer down.
A makeshift memorial today at the intersection. The deputy, just identified by the sheriff's office as Larry Henderson, later died at the hospital.
He was so well liked and so well known.
A courtroom full of law enforcement Saturday as Hinton faced a judge. His team in court calling this an emotionally charged situation. Hinton making a hard-to-hear comment to deputies while being escorted out in handcuffs. The crash happened just hours after he joined a meeting with Cincinnati police to review body camera video of his son's death, according to the attorneys hired by the family to investigate the police shooting. The video, now publicly released from 2 different angles, shows 18-year-old Ryan Hinton being shot and killed Thursday morning by a city police officer.
He's got a gun!
Investigators say the teen pointed a gun at Cincinnati officers responding to a call of a stolen vehicle. Hinton's family attorneys tonight writing they are heartbroken by this tragic turn of events, and we are all devastated for the family of the officer who was killed.
Shaquille Brewster joins us now from Cincinnati.
All right, so that's what happened. I'll say my 2 cents before I let you guys go. Again, but anybody, if you want to join in on the conversation, we will recap Puffy and all that as well, probably at the end. Go ahead and hit the link that I have up there in YouTube, and it's still on Facebook right now. But if you're watching on Facebook, please go to YouTube and check it in there and sign in on there and like and subscribe. All right, so my 2 cents. First off is obviously it's a tragedy that the young man was killed, but he had a gun. He's black. Cops are chasing him. He had no business having a gun and all of it. It shouldn't have happened to begin with, if you know, but it did. And I feel that he was killed. If it was my son, I would be absolutely upset, but I would understand that my son is black. My son had a gun on him and he was running, whether it was towards a cop or sideline to a cop or around a cop. That's why he got shot. I will also add that Rodney, the father, will be pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. His lawyer is saying that he snapped, as well as he has a history of mental abuse because he was on depression medication at the time, and so that is what his defense is going to be. I'll also add, I just look at it like I said, because I got boys and I got a girl too, but I got boys. And my kids had always had airsoft guns and stuff like that. And I always told them, you can't take it out front. Cannot take it out front in no circumstances. When they got older and they was able to drive, they used to actually drive to an airsoft range. And I would say, put your guns up, put them in the trunk and go, y'all can go to the airsoft thing and have fun and come on back. Cool, no problem. And then one day I looked in the car and my son just had the guns just sitting in the back seat. And these look like M16s. And when I say I damn near killed them myself, I damn near killed them myself. But I said, what if you'd have just got stopped? As soon as the cops seen that gun in the back seat, he would have shot you. What are you thinking? So that are my 2 cents. The dad, he definitely should have did what he did, in my opinion. Going after a separate deputy for an incident that his son had. His son should have been put that cop in that situation. That's how I look at it. His son should have put his cop in that situation. I can't actively right now say that it was the cop's fault or the cop did anything wrong in that situation. And you're at top, so I'm gonna give it to you first.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we are all taught at some point in time, especially as young black men, that how to behave when you are pulled over. And
Mm-hmm.
these kids were up to no good. The car was stolen. Did you say that right? It was stolen?
Yes, the
Yeah.
car
So they
was stolen.
already
And they used GPS to find it. So they found the car
right.
and used it
So
and
the
caught
car
him.
was stolen. They get pulled over. They get out and start running. They didn't just get out and start running empty-handed. They got weapons in their
Yeah.
hands. Come on. Who,
Yeah.
what are you thinking? You
Yeah.
are you just open yourself up just to get blasted, just like what happened. I
Yeah.
don't blame I don't blame the cops because if it was
I
me
don't.
and I was a cop having to chase this kid with a weapon in his hand like that, I'm taking him down, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to protect myself, especially when we don't we hear what the sheriff said. The kid supposedly turned back, and she didn't say he raised the gun in any way, but he did turn back with the gun in his hand. Well, I don't know what he's going to do. I gotta take the
Yeah.
kid down. I don't blame the kid. I mean, I don't blame the cops actually in this case at all. It's sad. And, you want to look at it as a black thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It could have been a white dude too. And they point that gun or turn that gun. Man, they're gonna bust a
Mm-hmm.
cap in you. They're gonna take you down.
Yeah.
And that's how they're trained. As far as the fathers, uh, yeah, he must have just snapped. I think the question that I have is how did he know that the guy that was doing traffic was a deputy? Because they said he was retired, which means now when you retire, you don't. We retired from the military. We didn't have our uniforms. We didn't go out and walk around with our uniforms anymore, right? When you retire,
No, I don't think the deputy was
they say
retired.
he
I
was.
don't think
They
so
say
at
he was
all.
a retired deputy. Go back and listen to it.
Okay.
He's retired.
Yeah, I thought he.
No,
Yeah,
he
Oh,
right. He right.
I
She
thought
said
that.
that.
yeah, he was
Oh,
retired.
okay. Oh
So
wow. Oh wow.
how did he's doing traffic? Yeah, because they do that type of stuff in retirement. Go help out with things like that. But I'm quite sure he didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a uniform on so he could visually go, oh yeah, that's a deputy. I'm going to mow this dude down. That's
Yeah.
my only question about what happened.
What happened?
He shouldn't have done it. Also,
Hmm.
whether he snapped or not,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have to prove that in court. Whether he lost his mind, that's something for his lawyer to try to prove. But again, that's another instance where he shouldn't have done. It's up to his lawyer to prove that he is a mental thing with him.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yep. Holly.
Well, this is my hometown.
Mm.
And I'm guessing, in that area, and I know certain cops. You already know when you live in a
Mm-hmm.
certain neighborhood, you got your cops that, and everybody know who the cop is. So I'm guessing that may be how he knew he was a cop. Had seen him, when he was actively, serving as a policeman or deputy or whatever he was.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably knew him. But my thing is, that's no excuse. There's no excuse for him to run
Mm-hmm.
him down in the manner he did. That's not the cop that killed your son, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's not.
So now you got vigilante, and you just gonna go and shoot any and everybody that you see that may have, served as a police officer on the Cincinnati police force. No, I get it
Mm-hmm.
because you lost your child and he snapped. Now my thing is they probably gonna do some type of mental defense for him, something, and I can see that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You probably,
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably snapped. So, yeah, that cop, nothing, no fault of his own. I think the
Yeah.
father definitely took the wrong recourse on that one, for sure. Sad
Yeah.
that young man lost
Absolutely.
his life in that manner. And then you got to put some of it, he's dead and gone now, but what are you doing? You out with a gun in a stolen vehicle, it's you and other little young men of color in this vehicle, and y'all get stopped and everybody's running and you the one with the gun in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of, you lined up all the Swiss cheese, just lined straight on up. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Yep. Yep. You're absolutely correct
Yeah.
there. I mean, you put yourself in the worst case
yeah,
scenario, and
and I'll tell you too,
go ahead.
just growing up in Cincinnati, Cincinnati police has always, and I hate to put the race on again, but Cincinnati police is the worst. They've always been really, really not liked. Let's just put it like that, because they do have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
racial issues with they did when I was growing up and through the years. I can't speak to it now because I haven't lived there in so long, but certain things just stick with the culture, even though the culture may have changed now. I don't know, but certain things just stick, and that may be one of the
Mm-hmm.
things too. I don't know, but that
Mm-hmm.
kid, you got to put all of the fault on the kid, for being in that situation. Unfortunately, he lost his life as a result of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I did research it, and you guys are correct. He was a retired officer, and uh, he was working the community as a special deputy working off-duty assignments. At the time of the incident, he was directing traffic near the University of Cincinnati during graduation ceremonies. So he probably did have some type of
Yeah.
uniform
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
to do the traffic. So I think he knew that he was a cop or a deputy or whatever, and just took him
Mm.
down allegedly. So it's so sad. It's sad, that the family not only lost a grandson, they lost a son. A father lost his son, and now the father's going to jail for the rest of his life. And even if he gets off, he's going to go to a hospital somewhere. He's not going to be
Right.
set free. You know, so it's
So
really
lose, lose, lose,
disappointing.
lose.
I don't feel the need at all to do the GoFundMe or be contribute to that at all by any means, because they people are doing that as well. It's a tragic situation, but I can't say I feel for the son or the father to the point where it's like they were wronged. You know, I think both of them did wrong at
Both
this
of them
point,
made bad
and
decisions.
Yeah.
yeah, made bad decisions, and one does unfortunately didn't get to live through his bad decision, and one is going to live through
Yep.
it in jail or in a mental institution, even if he gets off,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Mm-hmm.
doubt, allegedly. So, yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about today. Does anybody got any recaps on the things? Anything else before we go into cleaning our palate?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh, so I agree with y'all on this shooting thing, man. I know about two or three situations kind of like that growing up, and the cats that do those kind of things, he knew what he was getting himself into. His son. I'm sorry that he lost his life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, You know, the family of the cop that was killed, that's super tragic too. I mean, like there is like now it's two families or a whole bunch of people affected behind this, both stupid things, right?
Yeah.
But as a community, and Holly, you 100% right, because back where I grew up, everybody knows that police officers. That's why they're having all these reforms. They need to continue to do those things. Were horrible to black folk. You know what I'm saying? But this is
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, right? There's nothing really changed if you think about it. You feel what I mean? Uh, Except like you don't hear too now we get to visualize these things that we were telling people back then. You feel what I mean? Like, hey, this is what happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what were you doing when that was happening? Like I was running out of the car with a gun in my hand. So
With a gun in my hand.
so
Yeah.
you understand what I'm talking about? Like it
Yeah.
depends on what point of view you're looking at it as. You feel what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing that we gotta continue to think about. I mean, it's gonna be some really hurt people behind this stuff, man, for a long time, right? It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
take that community to band together and what I mean, get the reforms that they need to be getting because the kids what happened to the other three kids? You feel what I mean? We ain't heard
Yeah.
about them. You feel what I
Well,
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. Like, why did they have to be in this car with a loaded gun? Why weren't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Working somewhere? Why weren't they at some activity? Why? What? You know what I'm saying? Like, weren't
Yeah.
you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Well,
What was they? What was this? That? You know what I mean? So that's the kind of things I'm talking about. The community has to come together and say, hey, we don't want to put four kids in the car with a loaded gun ever.
mm,
Let's find something
Mm-hmm.
constructive, more constructive for them to be doing. You know what I'm saying? That way we don't
right.
have to put law enforcement in position to say, "Oh my God, do I shoot this kid or not?" In that mindset, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's gonna take a toll on that officer. You know what I'm saying, and his family. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure he's gonna need a
Absolutely.
lot of support. You see what I'm saying? So that's the kind of thing. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
a bigger community type thing that's gonna have to take place in that city. To continue to move
Yeah.
forward, but yeah, vigilante type things, man. Yeah, initially, yeah, you want to go burn the whole world down. You know what I'm saying? But is that the right decision?
No,
Yeah.
not in that
No.
situation. Easy, just join the couch. Welcome to the couch, Easy. Go ahead and then I'm gonna let Easy
No,
talk.
no,
But
I
give
was
him the
going to
couch for the
say,
floor for a minute.
Ronnie's right. It's a community thing, but not only that, it's a parenting thing, right? Where the heck is
Mm-hmm.
this kid's parents, and
Mm-hmm.
or who are he's got to be answering to someone that's a responsible adult, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
allowing this kid to go out. Not only they're stealing cars, but they going around with guns. I mean, we don't know the whole story. Are these kids involved in gang activity or something like that, or they just thought they were going for a joyride with? Oh, by the way, we got 9 millimeters, and a couple of clips. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And what you need those
Yeah.
for? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and I can understand the type of neighborhood they may have been raised in. I've been there, right, Bobby? I've been
Mm-hmm.
there, and I know exactly what type of neighborhood that could be, and sometimes you feel like you gotta, you know, be packing, just to have protection,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But still,
Been there, done
still,
that.
it goes back to parenting. Where was this kid's parent? We know his father now. He come out of the woodwork and ran someone down, but where was the
Mm-hmm.
father before it happened, right? Because
Yeah.
as parents, you kind of have an inkling of what the kids are getting involved in. You got to have some inkling about what your kid
Mm-hmm.
is doing, whether it's good or bad. You know, you kind of
Yep.
know what if they're getting into something, you sit there, hey, you need to cut that crap out. You know, I know for uh, me, my brother, uh, back in the day, he was getting ready to, a gang was trying to initiate him, and my older brother found out about it. Somebody found out about it, knew what was going on, and my older brother shut it down. He shut it down, said, "No, it's
Mm.
not going to happen." And he went and confronted the gang. It ain't going to happen. You're not taking my brother. So, you know, for me is where the parents or where's that person at for where are they at that for this kid, that could have guided
Mhm.
him better and given him better guidance on what he
Mm.
should and should not be doing, because he
Mhm.
knows if he living in that neighborhood, he knows that those cops are on 10 all the time. They're on 10. You know that. You live in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
the cops are on 10. They can't wait,
Yeah.
you know? That's
Yep.
my piece.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before Eddie, right before you go, I'm gonna read this comment because I think you may touch on this. I realize where everyone is coming from, but I'm learning that a lot of us don't really understand mental health the way we think we do. A lot of this can be attributed to mental health. So, with that, Eddie, as our resident therapist, the floor is yours.
So hey, good evening, everybody. Sorry, I've been working in the yard, so I couldn't pop on. So I was just texting whenever I could. So I, it's a tragedy, right? Both, like everyone's saying, a tragedy for the loss of the kid, and then the dad being in jail. Um, I did a little research, so I was thinking about this affirmative defenses, right?
Mhm.
So um, when with all the trauma that we as Black Americans face with the police, I know the number maybe even higher now. Three times higher were killed unarmed Black men than whites, right? And
Mhm.
we're only like what 13% of the country. So why is that number so high, right? We know over
Yeah.
policing, blah blah blah. But when is it going to be now? I have an affirmative defense. Like, I'm freaking terrified. I have PTSD from
Mhm.
knowing that the police are apt to shoot me when I get pulled over on a routine. That's what they call a routine traffic stop, right?
Mhm.
So, so now I started shooting first, and now why can't my defense be I was afraid for my life because a cop pulled me over and I'm a Black man? Why can't I say that when a police officer who has uh, training, experience, all these things under his belt, his or her belt, and then they get to say it right away, instead of
Mhm.
de-escalating, they can say it right away. I fear for my life, and they're quick to say. I know a lot of police officers. No, not bashing the police. I'm just saying, why do they get the out to say I was afraid when me as a Black man, I get pulled over, I'm in a neighborhood they think I don't belong in. Why can't I be afraid? And then I start shooting,
Mhm.
right?
Man, that's deep.
So when is that going to happen? When are we going to be see this in court, where a lawyer is arguing that point?
Mm.
Not that the police officer was afraid, that the Black man was afraid because of all the PTSD and the trauma that we have experienced in the last, we you can go back forever, but in the last, recent years, because we can see it now. There's videos, there's all these things, and there's no protections for us. They wear body cams. They still get off.
Mhm.
They control their own body cams. Like, who, we talked about this before. Who does that? Air traffic controllers. Y'all air traffic controllers. We don't get to look at review our own tapes. We don't get to do that. We don't get control of those videos if there's an accident, or this other the audio. We don't get to do that. So it's a tragedy in this case, but the reason we all had our ears perked up is because we heard there's a Black man killed by a young kid killed by a police officer. And again, the kid was dead wrong. Like y'all said, I'm not excusing any
Mhm.
of that. And the dad was dead wrong for killing a random person. But yes, he snapped. And we don't know any of us could have done that. Like, what? Shit, I saw red when I saw a badge, and I'm driving. I just ran them down. You never know what happens there.
Mm. That's
That's
different.
my take on it.
That's different. Before anybody else chime in, I want to welcome Mickey to the shipwreck and to the couch. It's her first time. Welcome, Mickey, and you felt really compelled to come on here and talk about this subject here, and sit on the couch, and the floor is yours. What you think?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Um, yes, and the gentleman that just finished speaking, I mean, you can read the comments. I agree with you. And it's not to say that I think that everybody is wrong. What I do feel is that we have, we think that we know what mental health is. A lot of us do, but we really don't. And the reason why I can say that, and I felt compelled, and actually, it was really kind of near and dear to my heart because we have a few situations that's going on here. Okay. I'm a mother of 3 Black sons. Okay. I have one that is rogue as hell. I did not grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I have achieved a lot of good things. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
me and my husband, we do very well. My kids are in McKinney, Texas. They go to Frisco ISD. I can't, all parents can't choose their path for their children. Okay, I would love to. Okay, I got to go to court tomorrow with my middle one. Okay, he's 21. If I could shake it out of him, if I could preach it out of him, if I could throw him in the holy water
Mm.
and it all just work out for me, great. But I'm recently learning. I've been involved with his care forever since he was 5 years old when I first took him to the doctor. Okay, so now fast forward to 20, the kid is diagnosed with borderline personality disorder with a whole slew of other um, disorders that follow under that. Okay. So, what I've learned is when my child does something that we think is like, I can't believe that he just did that bullshit. Excuse my language. I can't believe he just did
No,
that.
you're fine.
Then you go, well, what's really going on? So being the mother that I am, I do research. I take classes. I should have majored in psychology or something. I'm a finance major by trade, but the point is that I've learned so much more to understand that some of their brains just really don't, they don't really go all the way. The elevators don't go all the way up like we think that they should. Therefore, their executive functioning, their executive decision making, it's not where we think it should be. It's not where it should be, period. And they can make some boneheaded moves. When the guy got out the car and took off running with a gun in his hand, we know that that's dumb as hell. Okay. So we know it's
Mm-hmm.
dumb. Why the hell did he do that? Because we know you're about to get shot. But is everything okay up here to make him get out and do that? And where was his parents? My God, they could have been at church. And their kid is just running out there doing the fool. Because trust when I say that a lot of things that we have encountered, we didn't teach it. We did not teach it, period. Okay. So that's where I get off with that one. We also had an incident. You guys know about the incident in Frisco. Um,
Mm-hmm. Carmelo.
Carmelo Anthony. I mean, that's hard to swallow. Of course, obviously he's in Frisco ISD. We don't know him, but when things happen in my district, I'm automatically like attached to the case and feel for the parents. What I think is that not that he was okay with doing it, but I'm going to say that his parents also were good people and they didn't. I don't know what happened with the knife, why it ended up at school. Why do they do the things that they do? I don't know. I did some dumb things too, but I mean, I was always scary, so I didn't get that far to get myself in this, level of trouble. But I'm just saying that because I do believe there's a lot more out there that deals with mental health that we are not aware of, and prayerfully we'll see it in our time that we learn more besides depression or anxiety or bipolar. What is bipolar? What is it? We think we know what it is. Mood
Mm-hmm.
swings. It's a lot more than that. So that's my take on it, and that's where I'm saying I don't blame the parents, even though I get where they both kind of went off the rails. But I don't know what's going on in their brain. So I would need to know what's going on before I go and say, oh my gosh, like they deserve to be given the death penalty. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
my newfound thinking. It's been trending that way for a while just because I watch what my son goes through. So that's my piece.
Wow. Thank you for coming on the couch and talking. Um, Before we ask anybody else how they felt about what, actually just go to that. And do you actually Holly? I want to go to Holly first. Holly, do you have anything to say about what Mika
First of
said?
all, I just want to thank you, Mika, for being so vulnerable.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm sorry,
Mickey,
Mickey,
okay.
Mickey,
Yeah, I'm
Mickey. I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Mickey. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story. Um, I'm sure it's difficult for you at this time, and we'll keep you lifted in prayer and your son, of course. But I would agree because a lot of times, and I made some mistakes with my son as well. It's automatic. You get called up to the school, you automatically just go in on your kid. You don't think about why did they do that? What's going on? What's the root cause of things? And I think that's, and I said this before, it's because we didn't know. That's the way that we were raised. So we kind of, those things spill over into them. It's always the adult is always right. But the adult, it may not be right. Maybe my kid is right this time. And I think I commend you for, not automatically going to that space and doing the research and kind of stepping back and looking for the root cause of whatever is going on. I think we as parents have to now do that. Those of us with young kids, and even with adult children, they're still dependent upon us for a certain level of advisement and things of that nature. And they still do boneheaded stuff too, in their 20s and early 30s, they still do. I just think that we do have to just look a little bit deeper and peel the onion back a little bit more and kind of get to the root cause of some of the things, rather than just automatically saying this kid is unhinged, or they're crazy, or they're unsalvageable, or whatever the case may be. So I agree with you 100%. And again, thank you for being so vulnerable and coming on and giving that insight.
Thank you for accepting that and receiving it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Anthony?
I agree with Mickey. And again, thank you for telling your story, and that's appreciated. Bringing your side to things, because that's something that we really need to. We don't take into consideration is the mental aspect of things and what's going on with these kids nowadays, and the things that they have to deal with, the peer pressures that they have to deal with. Times are different. It's not the same. I know from when I was growing up, from when Bobby U was growing up. Times have changed, and I personally myself have done very well for myself, and me and my wife have done really good for ourselves. So our kids benefited from that, and it's something that we really, as parents, really, fortunately for us, we didn't have to really have to deal with on that type of level, the mental aspect of things. But I do know that that mental aspect is something that's very prevalent nowadays, and something that's not talked about as much as it should be. So thank you for that.
Easy?
Yeah, I want to echo what everyone was saying. Is it Mickey? I can't see on my phone, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mickey?
we
Yeah.
appreciate. Yeah. When I think when we were talking about looking at the root cause, saying where are the parents? Like where were the parents? We're not necessarily saying it's the parents' fault, because listen, I got one too. I got a couple of them. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, right? So you could what you said, we didn't teach that, right? So we say that all the time. You're like, I don't know where they got that from. Like we that's not how we do things, right? So a kid is gonna,
All
they're
the
gonna
time.
feel find, yeah, exactly, find their own way in life, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do to make their own mistakes. But you're absolutely right. We have to see what how the culture is affecting our kids and their mental health. And we can easily say, hey, they softer than we used to be, but they dealing with a lot more information. They dealing with a lot more things than we had to deal with at that younger age, right? So yeah, I applaud your vulnerability, and thank you for that. Because yes, absolutely, I got a couple of them, and you just want to shake them sometimes. So
Ooh, yes.
yeah, so join the club. You're not alone. You're not alone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, Ronnie?
All right, thanks, Mick, for being so open with us, because you don't even know us, but thank you for that. Because Easy just said, or everyone just said, it's a community of people out here, dealing with the same type of things that you're dealing with. So you're not alone. So don't ever think that you're alone. There are support groups out there. That goes back to what I was talking about with the community portion of it, right? It's a bigger portion of it. And we all basically said the same thing. It's basically we got to get to the root cause of things, right? So kids now aren't just raised by their parents. I mean, like, how often do you see your child and you're able to even teach them something throughout the day? And then you got to flip that and say, well, how much of society has more of that input time with my child? You feel what I mean? So that's what I mean
Mm-hmm.
by the community. The community, or basically the society, has to improve, because right now it's not. It's teaching our kids to do random things that obviously we don't teach them to do. Right? You can't be with them 24 hours a day, but you have to. You just pray that they don't do something dumb, right? Dumb enough to where now, you know what I'm saying? Now I got to go run down some cop because I done blacked out type stuff. You feel what I mean? So I really do commend you for this, for being open. But believe me, you are not alone. And
Mm-hmm.
if you, I'm sure
No.
in your community out there, there are others that are dealing with the exact same thing, that you the
Yep.
way in, the way out, the way around, and however you can deal with all those things. That's basically
Yep.
what I would like to say for everybody that's listening to this podcast. And thank you if you are listening. That yeah, you aren't alone. There are support groups out there that will
Mm-hmm.
help you out there. So don't ever think that.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Mika. Mickey, I'm Mickey. I call you Mickey because my that's my pilot of the day. But anyway, go ahead, Mickey. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, I was just saying thanks. Yeah, I actually dedicate my Tuesday evenings to um, a support group
Oh.
for um, rehab, and also my class just finished. There's a 3-month class that I dedicated my time to, 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours in the evening, for borderline personality disorder. And like I said, that's just one of
Mm-hmm.
the disorders. So it's it took me a long time to get there, and I am not. I'm just as real as everybody else. Like, Bobby and Candace, you guys know my story. You guys know a lot of what has happened over
Mm-hmm.
here. And somebody said something about, being vulnerable. And I don't know you guys, and you're right, I don't, but I know the people that are, hosting this, and I know they're good people. And so I trust that I can be vulnerable. And plus, honestly, I think that we really need to work on learning about these disorders and stuff, and what I learned through the class, and I wouldn't have known this 3 months ago when I kicked him out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, I didn't know that it's actually a thing on chemical imbalance, which means that your stuff is not even firing right. And that blows my mind, y'all, because we can have a conversation and it's just as normal. And then, then there's a decision is made and you're like, what in the world? So I just want, that's maybe my path, is just to kind of put it out there for everybody to say, let's do something. I want to do something. I see myself, you know, I have no idea how to do this, but I see myself as going to be an advocate on Capitol Hill and saying, you guys need to open up these doors. We're talking, they just started accepting autism like within the past 20 years. Autism is real. It doesn't give anybody, I don't believe that it gives anybody a green slate, or, a clean slate, or green space to do whatever they want. I don't. I just wonder, what can we do ahead of time before we even get to this point, of them committing such crimes that, can we stop it ahead of time? Can we start getting people the therapy that they really need? Can we train more people in these specialty, I'm gonna call them specialty disorders, the unusual ones that
Mm-hmm.
people haven't even heard of before? So thank you guys for the support. I don't expect everybody to meet me where I am. I just want to shed some light on what some of these people are going through.
Thank you again for joining. And that's what this pod is about, is a community. It really is. That's why I call everybody on here my shipmates, because that's what we are. We are one community, and that's what the couch. That's why I say sit on the couch, and the floor is yours, because that's what we're here for. We're here to be vulnerable, and I don't know if you quoted any previous episodes that when we get vulnerable about our kids and about our lives and stuff like that, and we share with the world, because we are a community and we want to be able to help not only ourselves but help others. And I know I can speak for myself. Talking about things that have happened and my issues and stuff helped me to resolve and go through that. Like you said, you was in a support group as a kid. I was in called Alateen, for my father was an alcoholic, and so that was the first time I ever went to therapy. It was group therapy, and that helped me tremendously. And actually, honestly, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for Alateen. So thank you again for joining. And any help that you need with Capitol Hill or anything like that, I'm there and to talk about. And I would love to have you on a pod. And I say Easy, he's our registered therapist. He is has a few degrees in mental health. And I would like to make that one of our episodes that we sit down and just talk about mental health and ways of getting help and stuff like that. Because you spoke of Capitol Hill, because one of the things that they're trying to do is get rid of Medicaid. Right now your son is fortunate enough to be able to be on your plan until 26. But what happens at that point? Once, he's automatically cut off. And now how does he get the help that he needs? So let's say you get him where he needs to be and he turns 26 and now he can't afford his medication. Now what happens? And it's going to be millions of people that are kicked off of their plans for that. And it's just not good for society. It's not good for them. It's not good for anyone, And I thank you again for coming on. And is your testimony was beautiful. And I think we'll all be praying for you tomorrow as far as what happens with your son and your family. So before we go to our palette, I'm gonna give everybody one last time to talk. Oh, before we go, I'm gonna let you ask first. Do you have anything to add about P. Diddy or anything? Yeah, Nikki.
Oh, now that Diddy thing is something else. No, I don't have a lot to add about it. I am interested in, like we were talking today, they were only on 09. I don't know if they got to, for some reason, I thought they said something about 2012, but I am interested in seeing how all of this goes, how all of this is playing out. Yeah. So are they sick too? Yeah, something ain't right there, possibly. I mean, but I think that Cassie wanted it just from whatever we learned today. I feel like she was all game. She was definitely young. I feel like her frontal lobe was not closed, but she was doing some things because she wanted to be, she wanted to feel some kind of way. I think that she probably grew up and was like, well, wait a minute, and you whipping my behind. So perhaps I don't want this anymore. And now she's, they are what they are. But I'm interested in seeing how it all plays out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Easy, do you have anything on Sean Combs or anything else? Because we're about to wrap it up and clean our palette real quick.
No, I don't have anything. Just interested to see how it all plays out. Thanks for everybody's input today. I look forward to these Thursdays when I can join. So thanks for contributing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And everybody out there that's watching, thank you again. Ann, do you have anything else before we clean our palette?
Nope.
All right. Holly?
No,
She might have left.
not. The only thing I wanted to add and I was sitting here and I'm thinking about our children, our young people, and I just remember, I think we as parents, and my son's 37, almost 37 now. So for the younger people, I think the community is gone. The old saying, it takes a village. I don't think there's a defined village anymore. Because growing up on my street, you couldn't do nothing. By the time you got home, grandma already knew because Miss such and such they called your grandmother or your mom. And they didn't got they in your tail before you even step foot through the door. You like, goodness, I can't do anything anymore. And I think now when it got to the point where you better not say nothing to my child at all. We don't even know, and I'm guilty. I don't know my neighbors, and I live in a community where it's only 57 homes. I couldn't tell you these people around here. If I had a small child and it was out, they don't even go outside and play anymore. So, and we have kids in the neighborhood, but I think that's the aspect that I think is missing overall within our communities, especially people of color. That was just the norm. Miss Smith and Miss such, and you better not say Miss Smith. You didn't do it because now you calling Miss Smith a liar, and now you really gonna get your tail whooped. So I think that's what's missing. I really, really do.
I agree.
Yep, absolutely. Ronnie, got one last thing before we clean our palette?
Nope. Holly hit that nail right on the head right there. Because you understand me? Right. I was thinking about some stories about some of that stuff, but no, absolutely not. I don't have anything to say about any of that stuff. So great.
All right. So today's cleaning our palette is coming from my sister Mika. That's why I kept calling you Mika, Mickey. So my sister Mika, she owns a candle company. It's a premium line of natural candles. It's called Evolve Candle Company out of Tomball, Texas. And she was recently will be in the next episode for actually the next year of Stroll magazine. I haven't heard of this magazine because it's for a luxury newsletter and magazine that focus on connecting residents and businesses with upscale communities across the United States. Evolve Candle Company, again, like I said, is going to be in a magazine, and I just wanted to send a shout out, Mickey. I don't know, so every episode at the end we talk about, we just clean our palate, because we get into some deep and heavy stuff, and so we like to leave on a good note. So today's good note again is Mika new shout out that she's going to have inside of the magazine. It's going to be outstanding. I can't wait to get a copy of it. It should be coming out here shortly. And that is it. That's the end of the pod for today. I really, 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 really appreciate everybody coming on. I think we got some good things in store. I would, like I said, I want to definitely have an episode on mental health, on a couple different topics on there that I'm gonna have on there. But thanks again, everybody, for joining, and I'll see you guys next Thursday.
All right.
Peace
All
out.
right.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Have a
Peace.
great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.